Okay, so today we're reviewing Mappy for the Multiple Arcade Machine Emulator. And Mappy released March 25th, 1983. And it ran on two Motorola M6 809 processors, clocked at a little over 1.5 megahertz each. And even more interesting, I think, is that it also ran on Namco Super Pac-Man hardware, which was modified to support side-scrolling. Now this is important, because you really didn't see a lot of side-scrollers at this time. And so the developers kind of thought, well, let's turn it into a side-scroller to make it more attractive. And I'll tell you, it did make it more attractive. Made it a lot more, a lot more interesting to play visually, and it also added, an interesting dimension to the game, a really cool dimension in my opinion. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead right now, kind of do an overview of the game, talk about controls a little bit, etc. So let's go ahead and start off with the plot of the game. Basically, you're controlling Mappy here. You notice you're a mouse, you're a police mouse dressed in this little blue uniform. You're going through this huge mansion, and you're basically going around retrieving a bunch of stolen goods here. You notice there's a picture up there, or down there on the first floor there. There's, what else? There's a book or something. There's a radio on one floor. There's a personal computer on another. And so I'm going around retrieving these items, and I'm getting points. Each item each item I retrieve, I get points for. And once all the items have been retrieved from that particular level, the level ends, and you obviously progress to the next one. Very simple concept. You have one button to open and close the doors. See the doors that are blinking there? Those on the one. In this case, there's one on the bottom, one on the top. And so I'm opening and closing those in order to obviously get away from my enemies, or make it harder for them to actually get to me. And you'll also notice that I'm using trampolines to get from floor to floor. And the trampoline, there's really a lot more strategy than first meets the human eye when it comes to, when it comes to using these trampolines. Because not only do you have to time the trampoline in terms of getting to the right floor, you have to make a move which floor you want to go to via the joystick, obviously. Not only do you have to know which floor to go to and obviously time it so that you're not going to get killed, but you also have to keep track of how many times you're bouncing on these in one sitting. Because if you bounce on them too much, the trampoline breaks, and you forfeit that turn. That turn is over. So that's where the strategy comes in. And you're probably thinking, well, Tim, why in the world would I just mindlessly keep bouncing on these things? Well, again, like any other Namco game, the enemies do pile up. You see this a lot with Dig Dug. Certainly with Dig Dug. You see it with Pac-Man. You see it with Galaga. And so you can't really... Namco is big on, hey, you can't be idle or you can't be inactive for any period of time or just mindlessly doing something. Otherwise, you will get killed. You will lose that turn. So it's the same thing here. And that's kind of... And again, this is just... We're talking just trampolines right now. That's just some strategy you can use for trampolines, is that make sure your timing is correct and that you're keeping track of how long or how many times you've actually bounced on them. So that's huge, and you'll understand when you actually play it. But trampoline strategies are huge. And here they have a little bonus round, which is pretty much, pretty much in keeping with the Namco tradition of having, these little bonus rounds here. It's pretty typical of Namco to have these little in-between bonus rounds where even if you don't do well, you're not going to lose a life or anything. Hence it's a bonus round. So you notice I'm just trying to get these little items here. And I actually did pretty well in the bonus round, considering I'm not really good. I don't consider myself to be really good at this game at all. But yeah, the thing that kind of freaked me out at first, to be honest, when I played this game, was that it's like I'm passing enemies in the air. I'm expecting to die or get killed, but I actually don't. So that kind of got to me. That kind of freaked me out or confused me right away. So I played through it a couple times, and finally I was able to get a little bit of strategy going. As you can see, I've kind of advanced through the first couple rounds here. But again, certainly not, not a traditional game by any means here. I know it's a classic now, revolutionary at the time, just like a Miss Pac-Man would have been. Really a lot more strategy here that meets the eye. And a lot more hand-eye coordination that meets the eye. Again, it looks like you're just free roaming through a mansion, which you are. But you really, really have to be mindful of where your enemies are at all times. I mean, at least with the Miss Pac-Man or whatever, you could isolate them all. Or same with Pac-Man, you could isolate them in one area when they all turn blue and you hit the power pellet. You don't really have that here. You really don't. They're all kind of spread out here. You notice that? They're all kind of spread out. Now, they kind of come in clumps occasionally, but they're really all spread out. So it's up to you really to find, to determine your best route here. What route you want to take throughout the mansion, throughout each, each floor in order to ultimately, you know, find the best and safest way to recollect all these items. So that's where the challenge lies. Very interesting game, a game I probably should have reviewed a long time ago, but as they always say, better late than never. And this game, if you care to know, this game actually released for was ported to several different platforms. It was on Famicom, Japanese version of the NES. It was also ported to GameCube, the Namco Museum 50th Anniversary Collection, GameCube, which was on GameCube PC and PS2. And it's been on, also, believe it or not, made the Sega Game Gear. So, again, immensely popular game, classic Namco game, and it's one that, in my opinion, I felt that it was high time I review. So thanks again for watching. That'll be my official review of Mappy. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 out of 5. That'll be all for now. Stay tuned for more video game videos coming soon. Take care, guys.